80s. I was working in the parenting sector for quite a while here in so it's good to see you guys. But about 18 months ago, I took on a new role where I joined the multicultural sector, working with people from a refugee and migrant background. Now, it's a very exciting space. I want to share with you today, over the last 18 months or so, something's been niggling at me. Something's not quite sat right, and it feels a bit strange. I want to share that with you and work through that with you today. And the thing I've become increasingly frustrated with is a very common phrase of CALD, this acronym for culturally and linguistically diverse people. I don't know if that's a phrase that you've come across. Now, those of you who know me know that I don't like acronyms at the best of times. CALD in particular has some challenges for me. Now, it's a bit of improvement. Around now for 95, mid-90s, we often refer to these people as people from a non-English speaking background. Now, CALD's a bit of an improvement on there. We do know that barriers are not just language. Language can be a huge barrier, but culture also has a huge impact. Culture is very important. But CALD still isn't quite right. There's something irking at me in regards to that. Now, the reason it is because I think as a country, as Australia, or as a state in WA, it seems though we can work towards a culturally and diverse community. We can work towards that. So a country can be diverse. It doesn't seem right that a person can be diverse. Saying that someone is diverse feels wrong to me. And the reason that the area I want to share with you on this, it seems to fuel this idea, and the academic term for it is around ethnocentricity. This idea that I know what's right and this person's a bit different. They're different to me. Seeing someone's different, seeing someone who's not normal here in Australia. And that's the thing that doesn't quite seem right. This idea of ethnocentricity is a little bit like people here on Earth thinking that all the planets rotate around us. This is who we are. We know the Earth's static, it doesn't move, and all the planets move around us. We now know that's not true. We also move. We all move around the sun. And there's an element of that with ethnocentricity, this idea of thinking of people being different from the norm. Just going to check in, we're going to do something a bit fun hopefully soon, but just checking in with who here's been on cultural competency training. Has anyone been on? You can put your hand up if you want. A number of people here. And how many are there in that training or through other areas have stumbled upon this phrase of the usefulness of walking in someone else's shoes? Is that a phrase that resonates? I thought we might give that a go today and see what it's like to walk in someone else's shoes. So I'm looking for a volunteer from someone from the audience. Anyone will do?
Looking right at you, Curran.
You've got a volunteer? Oh, we have got a volunteer. Thank you. Okie doke. I've got some of my shoes here. And we're going to have a go to see what it's like to walk in my shoes. Would you mind? Now don't go too far because they were from Keynote, 15 bottles, I don't want to lose them. But do you want to go for a walk and tell us what it's like? Keep safe.
That'll be good for 10. They're a bit big.
A bit big?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They go with my outfit.
You're not going to your outfit? Excellent. Come back up. You can put your shoes back on again. A big round of applause for that. Now, what I want to do is highlight and see if anyone out there can... There's a key point I want to share with you today. Can any of you see the really important thing that happened there? When... What was your name again, sorry? What, Julie? Julie tried those shoes on. Did anybody spot what the most important part around cultural competence that she managed to show you guys? Anybody want to stab a guess there?
She knew how to walk still.
Oops, sorry.
I don't know, she was still her, she knew how to walk, she knew what the
Yes,
shoe
here we
function
go.
was.
Up, sorry, at the back, shout up.
Me? So she still was a human person, like she still knew what shoes meant, what to do in them,
Yep.
that, you know, what the purpose they served.
There's one other little gem that I'm hoping to come up with. This is the usual facilitator where you ask for a response and then tell people I'm not comfort. Comfort? That's one area. They didn't quite fit. Oh, go on, right at the back.
That she tried them on.
She did give it a go.
So that, to me, indicates a willingness to understand
Excellent.
and to learn.
The thing I'm going to extend, and this is the thing I want to share with you, and I'll extend just briefly before I finish. The key thing she did that I'm going to leave with you in terms of cultural competence is the first thing she did to try to see what it was like living in my shoes is she took her own shoes off first. Did you get that over there? I knew somebody would get it. It's a really critical thing around this idea I shared earlier of ethnocentrism. Until you realise that before you can step in someone else's shoes, that you're already wearing shoes. You've already been pre-programmed as to how the world works. You already know that red means stop, green means go. They're all built into you. And until you realise what your own programming is, it's actually quite tricky to understand what someone else's programming might be that's slightly different. My oldest daughter, she's got a MacBook Air for school. It cost a fortune, much more than my laptop. And she came home from school and she wanted a little bit of help with it. Now, I don't have a clue about Macs. I've grown up on PCs with Microsoft. I do not have a clue. And it made me realise it's quite similar. This programming I've got of how to do things on computers is all based on Microsoft. What I realised there is if I want to know how to do something on a Mac, I've got to forget everything that Bill Gates taught me. Completely forget. I've got to take those shoes off and learn again. If I go into that conversation with her thinking that Microsoft is the way to do it, I'm going to get very frustrated. Similarly, I don't know if people have been here on some leadership programs. I've been on a number of leadership programs. And what's very common is that you go along to these programs, mainly you go along working out how to deal with difficult people, how to work out how to deal with a problematic team member. And you think you're going to go along and they're going to teach you why this person is such a pain. That's usually what you go on these courses for. What's very common is you get quite frustrated at the start because they all start talking about you and about self-awareness and self-reflection. They're not even talking about me, I'm not a problem. It's Trevor who just started in my unit as a problem. So it's common as this theme around different areas, this idea that understanding where you are and who you are and what your programming is critical to acknowledge first before you can start thinking about other people. So all I'm going to leave you with here is over the next couple of days in this conference, I imagine you're going to hear some things that you really like. You might hear some things that you don't like so much. It doesn't quite resonate with you, and no, that's not quite right. I'll ignore that bit. But I invite you throughout this conference just to take that moment to consider the shoes that you're wearing, your own programming, and think, why do I think that way? Consider then what someone else's shoes and why they may be sharing those things. So just want to open your mind up throughout all the topics you're talking about, and look at things from the other perspective without filter. In essence, what I'm looking for you to do is to see the possibilities through all the conversations through this multicultural lens. Thank you.